welcome to the news on NTA International. This news can be reached on various social media platforms as displayed on the screen. I am Lami Ali and my sign language interpreter is Courage Ogeriahi. Let us now check on the headlines. Nigerian Governors Forum kicks against reintroduction of Anchor Borrowers Program, advocates channeling of all intervention through Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Nigeria strengthens bilateral relations with Netherlands. Protests in Senegal as the African Union canvasses early conduct of presidential election. And we begin in Abuja, where the Nigerian Governors Forum kicks against the reintroduction of Central Bank's Anchor Borrowers Program. It says all government intervention should be channeled to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Chairman of the forum and Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak stated this as he led governors to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, the governor of Kwara State, is the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. He is at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture with governors from Kogi, Taraba, and Ondo states. The mission is to discuss how states will benefit from the federal government agricultural program.
CBN had taken over most of what Minister.
Chairman said the objective of the Anchor Borrowers Program introduced in 2015 was not achieved, calling for partnership with states and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture.
Is that in West Africa, food in Nigeria is the cheapest in West Africa, and our neighbors are using our food to trade. They're taking our soybeans and other stuff back to make foreign exchange for themselves. Now, that's not a bad thing. What we need to do to mitigate that is to ramp up our production, improve our yields per hectare to make sure we feed West Africa. That's our intention. Feed ourselves 100% and export food to the world.
Minister of Agriculture said partnership with states remains paramount in achieving food security in the country. As the ministry rolls out the second phase of dry season intervention, the minister said a joint monitoring team will be established between the federal and the state Ministry of Agriculture.
Among the readiness criteria that we would like to reiterate for this phase are that the land is prepared and available for immediate cultivation, that the irrigable lands are allotted or owned by verifiable, genuine farmers, and that the state is participating to the last mile of the entire chain.
The federal government must have a very strong partnership, collaboration, cooperation, synergy with the subnationals.
The second phase of the program will focus on rice, maize, and cassava production. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, the 5-year phase-out period given to manufacturers of alcohol in sachet and in bottles less than 200 ml has elapsed on 31st of January 2024. Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Professor Mujishola Adeyeye, disclosed this in Abuja and maintains that enforcement has commenced immediately.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, in January 2022 stopped the registration of alcoholic beverages in sachet and small volume PET and glass bottles below 200 ml, which was based on the recommendation of a high-powered committee of the Federal Ministry of Health and NAFDAC on one hand, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and the industry represented by the Association of Food, Beverages and Tobacco Employers, Distilled and Blended Association of Nigeria in December 2018, and to phase out by 31st of January 2024. It is in the light of this that NAFDAC is informing the public on the government policy of banning the importation, manufacture, distribution, sale, and use of alcoholic beverages in sachet, PET, and glass bottles of 200 ml and below. Alcoholic drinks in sachet, PET, and glass bottles are pocket-friendly and can easily be carried around by the underage without notice, easily affordable, and can come in handy, and those who often take them constitute a nuisance to society.
All holders of alcohol in sachet, PET and glass bottles less than 200 ml, empty sachets, empty PET bottles, empty glass bottles, labels, and other packaging materials of these banned products to immediately report to the Investigation and Enforcement Directorate of NAFDAC for handover of sale for destruction in order to prevent sterner measures that can include prosecution.
NAFDAC is resolutely committed to the strict implementation of the regulations and regulatory measures towards safeguarding the health of Nigerians, particularly the vulnerable youth, against the dangers of reckless consumption of alcohol. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
100 female farmers drawn from 5 states in southeast Nigeria are set to benefit from a 50 million naira empowerment grant under the Renewed Hope Initiative Women Agricultural Support Program. National Chairman of RHI and Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, announced this alongside other key intervention programs of the initiative for year 2024 during a meeting with wives of state governors at the Villa. State House correspondent NTAi reports that the reintroduction of alternative high school for girls across the country is also part of the agenda.
Since inception in June 2023 by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, the Renewed Hope Initiative has impacted vulnerable members of the society through plans and programs implemented along its 5-pronged focal areas of intervention. Sustaining the momentum is critical, so wives of state governors who are pivotal to effective implementation of the programs are at the Villa for a meeting with the First Lady to appraise the expected roles and contributions as the initiative gets set for another round of interventions in year 2024.
We would be flagging up the Renewed Hope Initiative Women Agricultural Support Program, WASP, with the empowerment of 20 farmers each from the 5 states in the southeast zone. This will be coming up in Imo State on the 28th of February 2024. These farmers will get 500,000 naira each. We will soon be launching the Young Farmers Club in public schools across the nation. The initiative is to encourage farming among our young people. The goal of this is to ensure food in every home.
While RHI partnership with National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, will see another set of 40 women empowered with skills in ICT and seed fund, the initiative is also lining up a food outreach program that will support people living with disabilities and residents of IDP camps with food items.
The Renewed Hope Initiative will be organizing the National Fabric Competition, #One Nigeria Unity Fabric. This competition seeks to create a fabric that is indigenous, promotes peace, and unifies us as Nigerians. The competition is open to all Nigerians within and outside the shores of the country, within ages 15 and 25 years old.
And sequel to our pledge to drive the We Are Equal campaign of the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, OFLAD, with education, the First Lady says the alternative high school for girls has to be reintroduced as a national program.
The winner for today's raffle is Osun State.
Selected through a transparent lottery system, Osun State will have the first shot at the program.
Once I get back home in Osun State, I'll discuss it with His Excellency Senator Nuruddin Ademola Adeleke, and from there we'll take it up.
It is still the beginning of the year and a time to lay out this agenda for the benefit of vulnerable Nigerians. It is expected that by engaging these critical stakeholders, RHI programs will attract effective implementation and desired results. In the State House, NTAi, NTA News.
Nigeria has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Kingdom of the Netherlands to further strengthen bilateral ties on areas of migration and human trafficking, among others. Garba Nasa'ala reports.
The two countries, Nigeria and Netherlands, led by their top officials, met here to formalize the agreement. Ambassador Samson Itaboje of the Nigeria's Foreign Affairs and Geoffrey Van Leeuwen represented the countries. This is the outcome of years of diplomatic relationship that projects better prosperity in Nigeria's development drive.
To discuss bilateral issues on trade and investment, on migration, on agriculture, water resources, consular. So it's a very robust platform and robust relationship we have.
Really, again, here today to strengthen that relationship and make it even deeper and stronger than it is today, because you are the key player in Africa and our key partner. So we want to work on that and build on that.
Considering Africa's effort in tackling irregular migration and human trafficking among other related issues, the Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development expressed optimism in this drive, hence the resolve to partner Nigeria for continued support with a current trade volume of 8 billion euros for mutual benefits and positive impact. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Atala, NTA News.
El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele has won a thumping victory in the country's elections. The provisional results released in the Central American country on Monday morning showed Bukele winning 83% support, with just over 70% of the ballots counted.
Thousands of Bukele supporters, clad in blue and waving flags, thronged San Salvador's Central Square to celebrate his re-election, which the 24-year-old leader termed a referendum on his government. Fireworks illuminated the sky in front of the National Palace as confetti rained down upon a large crowd of cheering supporters. The president-elect stood at the palace's balcony, waving to the crowd alongside his wife. Bukele called his victory a record-breaking one, claiming El Salvador has broken all the records of all democracies in the history of the world, adding that even since democracy's existence, never has a project won with the amount of votes he won as part of general elections. Voters headed to the ballot box to choose the president, vice president, and all 60 deputies of the Legislative Assembly. Reports say his New Ideas party is expected to win almost all of the 60 seats in the legislative body, tightening its grip on the country and bestowing Bukele the most powerful leader in El Salvador's modern history. New Ideas' electoral success means Bukele will wield unprecedented power and be able to overhaul El Salvador's constitution, which his opponents fear will result in scrapping of term limits. Widely popular, Bukele has campaigned on the success of his security strategy, under which authorities suspended civil liberties to arrest more than 75,000 Salvadorians without charges. The detentions led to a sharp decline in nationwide murder rates and fundamentally altered a country of 6.3 million people that was once among the world's most dangerous. Some analysts have said the mass incarceration of 1% of the population is not sustainable in the long term. Hours later, bullish Bukele held a press conference and said his party needed all the support it could muster to maintain its anti-gang fight and continue reshaping El Salvador. Francis Sudojo, NTA News.
Police in Senegal have continued to crack down on protesters in the capital, Dakar, as an opposition figure was arrested a day after President Macky Sall announced the indefinite postponement of the presidential election scheduled for February 25th. Again, Francis Udojo tells us more.
In a televised address to the nation, Sall announced on Saturday that he had cancelled the relevant electoral law, citing a dispute over a candidate list. He said he signed a decree abolishing a November 2023 measure that had set the original election date, but did not give a new date. This action threw protesters to the streets of Dakar as hundreds of men and women of all ages took to the streets on Sunday, heeding the call of some opposition candidates. Former Prime Minister Aminata Traore, who served as Premier under Sall before joining the opposition, now one of his most outspoken critics, was arrested while arriving at one of the scenes where protest was ongoing. Denouncing Sall's decision to postpone the election, Traore described it as an unprecedented democratic regression and called on people to mobilize to defend their rights. Meanwhile, France, the former colonial power in the country, has called for a vote as soon as possible, saying that Senegal should end uncertainty while working for an inclusive and credible election. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We take a short break. More stories when we come back. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying. The African Union has admonished Senegal to hold its presidential election as soon as possible. The continental body's advice is coming days after its president, Macky Sall, delayed the February 25th vote to an unspecified date. A report says Senegal has never delayed a presidential election, and Sall's announcement on Saturday pitched the country into uncharted constitutional waters that some opposition and civil society groups said amounted to an institutional coup. AU Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat said in a statement that Senegal should organize the election as soon as possible in transparency, peace and national harmony. In the meantime, Senegalese lawmakers on Monday began debating a proposal to postpone the presidential election, which was previously set for February 25th. President Macky Sall on Saturday announces a delay to the vote hours before campaigning was set to officially begin, sparking a political crisis. Parliament is examining a text adopted the previous day by a preparatory committee proposing a delay of 6 months or even up to a year until February 2025. Supporters of Karim Wadi, whose bid to run in the presidential race was rejected by the Constitutional Council, presented the proposal. It said that the aim of the postponement would be to avoid institutional instability and serious political unrest and to ensure a complete resumption of the electoral process. The text is supported by the parliamentary camp of President Sall. Members of the preparatory committee recommended postponing the election until February 2025 to take account of the country's realities. These include the difficulties of campaigning in the rainy season and the possibility of the vote coinciding with major religious holidays. Now, residents of Kuje town will now heave a sigh of relief with the flag off of the rehabilitation work on the 5-kilometer Tipa Garage to Lia Secretariat Township Road project. Unoze Yakubu brings us the details.
Gridlock and unruly behavior of motorists, especially at peak hours, are the usual norms while plying this route. This is as a result of the deplorable condition of the road. But this ugly development will soon be a thing of the past with the flag off of the rehabilitation works. FCT Minister Yeson Wike says all arrangements have been put in place to ensure its timely completion.
Agreement is what? Agreement. So now we are giving you money. Go and prepare yourself. If you don't do our work, I don't know where you come from. I don't know what connections you have. I don't care. You must do our work.
The road project will also help in curbing the menace of insecurity, which is one of the area of concern of our administration, by simplifying the operations of security personnel within the area council.
We at the National Assembly will be there to give you all the necessary support.
And we can see what you are presently doing. At least for now, we know that FCT have a minister. And we are seeing things happening. And we want to assure you that we will be here to support you anytime, any day.
Chairman of the Kuje Area Council, Abdullahi Sabo, and the community leader lauded the project with an appeal for the provision of more infrastructure at the grassroots.
You are coming to Kuje today within few days of your last visit It's a clear shown of your love for development at the grassroots. We are indeed very, very grateful. Your Excellency, you have proven to the people of Kuje that you are an elder statesman and a man of integrity. Above all, you are the man of your ways. All your activities, the people at the satellite town feel more impact on your activities, and we shall continue to pray for you.
This is the third leg of the exercise to be replicated across the 6 area councils of the FCT. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Now, the Nigeria Customs Service says integration of technology in all processes will play a key role in achieving the 5.0799 trillion naira revenue target in 2024. This came to light during an interactive session with the Senate Committee on Customs. The Nigeria Customs Service, one of the country's major revenue-generating agencies, is meeting with the Senate Committee for the first time since the coming into effect of the 28.7 trillion naira 2024 budget. Chairman of the committee, Senator Issa Jibrin, was emphatic on why revenue-generating agencies must up their game to improve the economy.
In the 2024 budget, a significant percentage of the revenue has been earmarked for debt servicing. As a country, if you don't meet up with your debt obligations, it will affect you negatively in terms of your credit rating in the international market. So you can no longer borrow more. I want to believe that you have a major role to play in our quest to get out of this problem of debt burden.
The Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adeni, says the underperformance on revenue in 2023 by more than 12% of the approved target was due to some factors. He, however, explains how the service is looking at several other options to improve the process.
The introduction of VREG and VIN valuation application, which has very huge potential for reducing undervaluation and vehicle tax evasion, would improve customs duty. We also intend to provide windows for perfection of illegally imported vehicles. We expect that if we get the right authorization and we subject them to payment of duty and relevant penalty, we are going to realize a lot of revenue from this.
These are our imported used vehicles. If you go to some of us that go to Kutonu area, a lot of money that Nigerians are supposed to make are just going to other countries. If there's a way of making this importation to come officially through our port, it will help us a lot.
Officers and other ranks are staying in makeshift accommodation, which is not befitting of a custom officer. And it will go a long way in affecting their productivity, especially during these harsh winter months.
Capacity building, motivation of staff, and adherence to the principle of legislative compliance are other areas the service expresses commitment to give special attention to for optimal results. From the National Assembly, Lami. Now, the last few years have witnessed a considerable closing of the gender gap in the engineering profession following intense and creative development programs and awareness by the leadership of the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria, APWEN. Taking these bold steps further in a way that encourages more females to embrace the profession is one of the tasks before Dr. Debisi Oshin, who took the oath of office as the 18th president of APWEN at an investiture ceremony in Abuja. Kelvin Iwunwayi reports.
Dr. Debisi Oshin comes into her new role prepared. Having served APWEN at different levels and committees, she has her job clearly spelled out, not only to build on the successes recorded by her predecessor, but to introduce a more creative and innovative way to advance many of the programs like STEM initiatives across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country and supporting female engineers in careers and personal development.
Collective strength will drive us to new heights. My journey is one that promises growth, collaboration, and lasting impact.
With the support and collaboration from the parent engineering body NSE and government agencies, the new APON leadership is setting its sights on positive trajectory.
As the first woman to lead the NSE, I recognize the significance of this moment, and it is only fitting that my inaugural event is one that celebrates the extraordinary accomplishments of APON.
The investiture drew top female engineers from across the country, including those in government, industries and the academia, to the ICC to lend their support and witness the birth of a new era for APON. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewunwaye, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu mourns the demise of Nigeria's creative icon, Jimmy Sholanke, who died on Monday. He was an actor, dramatist, folk singer, poet, and playwright. President Bola Tinubu has congratulated the governor of Kwara State and chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, on his birthday. President Tinubu describes Governor Abdulrazak as a thoroughbred professional and a Spartan politician whose historic ascendancy to the office of governor has brought sweeping changes to the political trajectory of the state. Up next is Tuesday's weather forecast. And that does it on the news at this time on NTA International. We thank you for watching. I'm Lami Ali. The sign language interpreter has been Courage Ogeriahi. Do have a good night.